here's Bobby. Bobby knows how to sew.
I do.
Don't you know how to hook up this?
It's already hooked up. Recording in progress.
You need the code to get in.
You don't need the code. That is all set. I'm going to show you how to do it so that you won't need a code. It's very simple.
Okay, you'll show me.
Absolutely. You know how to dial. You know how to go to find the Shul website.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, that's what I'm going to show you. You find the Shul website. From there, you know where to press. It's right there.
I'll help you.
It's really very
That means you can't wander in late. Because we need you.
All right. All right. Getting with our sponsors. Year of Learning, Sue and Arnie Garlick in memory of Malka Perlman and Philip Mann. And Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch and Beryl ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Yosef Meir ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Henya Rivka Pro Rosna bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch. And in memory of family murdered in the Holocaust. Harav Tzvi Hirsch ben Shlomo Yaakov, Sarah bat Ephraim, Yisrael David ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Ephraim ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Adia bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Miriam bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Pesel bat Harav Tzvi Hirsch, Shalom ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shlomo Yaakov ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch, Shmuel ben Arav Tzvi Hirsch. Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of Toby Paris, Sarah Tova bat Yisrael Dov in her memory. Charlie Gelfenstein and Sam Levine in memory of Ramona Levine, Rachel Mata bat Asher. Friends of Nina Moinesta, Nechama Asner bat Yitzchak Aharon. Many friends of Stephen Vigdor, Lezecha Nishmat, Simcha Melech ben Meir Leib Halevi. Friends of Marcy Kurtz in memory of her great niece, Leah Bracha. Month of Learning by Lydia and Abe Krause's many friends in honor of their 50th anniversary. David and Mendel Cheslow in memory of his father, Moshe ben Ruvain Mordechai. Susan and Reuven Podolsky in memory of her father, Simcha Bunam ben Yeshua. Meharon and Mal Haller in memory of her father, Yosef Eliezer ben Tzvi Hirsch. Susan and Reuven Podolsky in memory of her mother, Chaya bat Avraham Dov. Beatrice Pizer in memory of her father, Yisachar Dov ben Shmuel. A week of learning by Jack Gilman in memory of his brother, Zev Yosef ben Yitzchak. Sharon and Michael Glass in memory of her mother, Chaya bas Avram Baruch. Gail and Leslie Kaplan in memory of her mother, Mushka Sprinza bat Yosef Chaim B'chav. Judith Iger in memory of her son, Anshel Yitzchak ben Aharon. Michael and Judith Poretsky in memory of his mother, Rachel bat Avram. We also have a day of learning today, the 11th, by Sandy and Barbara Cohen in memory of his mother, Edel Chana bas Chaim Moshe David. May Yeshamas Heaven Aliyah, Krank Rafia, Veldi Yeshir Hashem Letzliah, L'chol B'nai Yisrael, a good Gaben Shtiar. Tomorrow you have one day of learning by Cheryl and Michael Tuckman. You'll do it tomorrow, okay.
You don't give him that's like double.
No, on Shabbos I have to do. Yes, he's sitting in the Wolverton B parking lot.
Until when?
A good part of the afternoon.
In the parking lot?
In the parking lot.
Tomorrow
right.
morning too?
That I don't remember. Okay.
Do I
Okay.
know him?
Yes.
I do.
He comes in every morning to our summer meeting. He's the cone. I think he sits in front of you a couple of rows.
Okay, so I should go. Fine.
Well,
I don't
Okay.
know. That's the asking. I know that.
All right. So I'm going to pick up very quickly from the bottom of Samach Daled, Amud Beis, on the very bottom, right? We said it's, what did we see? Malkiot Etnan Yemei, right? Misha Lakav Shana Beit Din, Konsino To Lehipa, Umachilino To Siorim, Ad Shetehei Kireso Nivkaat. Okay? So that was where the example was trying to be given of a situation where the chazaka was only on two situations, right? Two cases. Vestot. Now we're going to get to the other examples of threes, exactly. Vestot, Ditznan, as it was taught, okay. Ein ha'isha kovat, here's our Amud for today, right? Samachay. Ein ha'isha kovat la veset ad shetikva'ena shalosh pa'amim. A woman doesn't establish, set as her precedent for her veset, for her period, until there is 3 occasions of the same day, right? And furthermore, ve'ein mitaheret, says the Gemara, min haveset, and she doesn't become tahara until ad shete'aker mimena shalosh pa'amim, until it's uprooted for 3 times. Okay, so there again, that's where we stopped yesterday. Picking up today the new material, we had another example of a chazaka of 3 based on Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel, right? V'shur hamu'ad, and regarding shur mu'ad d'tnan, as was taught elsewhere. Ein hashor ne'aseh mu'ad, ad sheya'idu bo shlosha pa'amim. Okay, the shur is not considered mu'ad until there have been 3 occasions when they have testified against the animal and the owner. Excuse me. Should call me a bit.
Amen.
Okay. Now, Tanu Rabbanan says the new Braita. Niset l'rishon v'lo hayu la banim. This Braita tells us that she married the first husband, and there were no progeny. L'sheni v'lo hayu la banim. A second husband, and there were no progeny. L'shlishi. Now, what about the third? Lo tinaseh elo lami sheyesh lo banim. According to the Braita, she should not marry unless this third gentleman has children already from a previous marriage. Then she could marry him. However, the Braita continues, Niseit lami she'en lo banim. But if she wound up marrying someone who did not have any progeny, Teitzei below ketubah, right? She must.
He has to divorce her, and she
Right.
leaves it.
So what happens? He puts her out. In other words, he divorces her, and he does not have to pay anything. Ibaylahu. So the rabbis has the following discussion and raise the question in the base midrash, right?
What did she do wrong?
She didn't
Well,
have kids. She has a chazaka.
the
of not
question,
being
the,
able to
what
have
we're going to
kids.
see is really the underlying concept here is the mitzvah of peru only incumbent on the male, or is it incumbent on both? That's the underlying concept that the Gemara is trying to get at. Okay? So now we're going to raise the following question. Okay? Niseit b'shlishi. Let's assume she married the third guy. V'lo hayala banim. Right? And there were no children. Mahu delit ba'uha hinach kamai, asks the Gemara. Is it possible that the first 2 husbands can make a demand and have their ketubah money returned? Is that the question? That's what we're asking. Mi matsui amrela. Okay. Why? Says the Gemara. Let's try to understand the issue. Okay. Is it possible that we could say that they would find and respond or say to her the following? Iglai milta da'at hu de garamant. Okay, now it's already the 3rd time around. You still don't have children. This makes it clear that you are the responsible one that can't have children.
And our weddings were
Right? So as a result, okay, we could have a problem there of multiple issues. We'll get to that in just a second. O Dilma, or perhaps, says the Gemara, Matzit Amra Laho. We could find that she might say to them, Hashta Hu Dekachashe. Now that I've reached this age, I'm weak. I'm not
My
strong enough.
menopause.
All right, I'm not strong enough to have children. Okay. All right, so the Gemara's, so this is the issue. Mistabra matzit amra laho, hashta hu dekachishe. It seems logical, says the Gemara, that we could find situation that by the time she's married 10, 20, now she's into whatever.
20, because she had it done for immediately.
Right. But I'm saying it's been
So
20
she's
years,
31 years old.
theoretically.
11, 21.
Well, we don't know if she was 11. Okay?
That's when they all got married. You were
Can't
15,
be,
you were an old
no.
maid.
Can't be that quick to, okay? In any case, the point is okay, so it seems logical, the Gemara says, that it's possible that she could argue that she's incapable of giving birth because of,
But not then.
at that point. Ibailahu. So they asked the following shot, right? Niseit l'revi'i. Let's assume she marries a fourth guy. Vahayula banim. And with him, she did have children. Okay? So the Gemara says, Mahani ditapi ate lishlishi. Is it possible then that the third husband could have a complaint against her?
No, she against him. I
Right?
want my kasuba. He
Mahani,
threw
oh,
her out
right.
without a kasuba.
Mahani, right. Mahani did to have it's possible that she could raise a complaint against the third. All right. And it was to receive her kasuba,
Which she didn't get.
which she didn't,
after
because it just
divorce.
said Tate say, but right, that's what it said. So Amrinanla, we could say to her in that situation the following: Shtikutayich yafemi duburayich. Maybe your silence is golden and therefore better than your raising the issue in the base. Okay, why might that be the situation? Okay, regarding the third husband, namely, Dematse Amarla, because it's possible that we might find to say to her,
The husband would
right?
say,
Ana ada'ata dahachi lo geshartich. I, based on this information, on my awareness, that wasn't necessarily the reason that I divorced you. Okay, that could be the issue of
"Had I
children.
known you could have kids, I
Well-
would not have divorced you."
Well, that we'll get to that in a second.
That's what it said.
No, it says ana ada'ata dahachi. Okay, I would
Based on-
know based on this that I
you
wouldn't
don't have-
that I
Based on
wouldn't
that,
have
I thought
divorced you.
can't
Yeah,
have
so
So
children.
wait, let's see. So what happens? In other words, the implication here is clearly that on the one hand, had he realized that she was capable of giving birth to children, that would not have, so he would be in a sense almost revoking the divorce in that situation. And therefore, any children that she would have had with husband number 4 could be considered mamzeri,
That's what it says, by the way.
right? Okay, so that's what we're seeing here. So what happens? Matkifla Rav Papa. Rav Papa challenges this. Ihihi shatka. If she is silent, says Rav Papa, anan mi shatkina. Should we be silent in this situation? Right? Nimtza get batel. It's possible then that under that circumstances, the get would then be considered nullified. Ubaneha mamzerin. And children she would have with husband number 4 would therefore be considered mamzerin. Ella, rather, amrinin. This is what we say. Hashta hu debriata. Here she has become well. In other words, her health has improved to the point that she
Now
is
she can
capable of
therefore-
having children with this particular man.
And the divorce is therefore valid.
It's a valid divorce. The 4 children from 4th husband are not mamzer. Okay. Right, which again gives us a clear message to what degree Chazal sought to, exactly, right? Now, let's go on. Hu amar mina, vihi amra mine. Basically, it's a he said, she said situation. He claimed that she was responsible for no children. She claimed he was responsible for no
This
children.
is where she wants the divorce and says, I don't want to give it. That's what's going on. So she
Where do
says-
you see that?
Well, you'll see, because she then says, you can't give me children. I want out of here. I want a different husband. And he said, it's your
But
fault.
where do you see that?
It's in the,
How does she know that?
Where do you see it in
the
the
Gemara is
text?
going to tell you
We'll
in 2
see.
seconds.
We'll
He's
see.
a dribbler rather than a spritzer.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure that that's
Keep
how I
reading.
would. I know the Gemara. I prepared it, Michael. Okay. All right. Amar Rabbi Ami. This is Rabbi Ami. Devarim shebeino leveina. Okay. In this argument between her and between him, ne'emenet. Okay. She is believed. V'ta'ama mai, and the reasoning is why. He kaimala biore kechetz. V'hu lo kayem lai biore kechetz. She can have clear proof, a
You can
statement.
feel.
She can understand that if in their sexual act, okay, his semen was direct versus indirect. Let's put it that way. So she would be able to tell that, and that doesn't mean that he's aware that that he did what he did, but it was going to guarantee pregnancy. Okay? And that's why she's believed, he says. All right? Amar ihu. All right? So what happens? We now go on. So said, Azil ve'insiv itata ve'ivdok nafshai. He says, oh, I can have an easy way of
Sex with
proof.
another woman.
I will go, I will marry another woman, and I will check myself out.
She
Okay.
will say whether I'm.
Well, avdok, it says, not
Yeah,
shai.
but I will examine
But the implication,
myself by her
all right,
testimony.
but the point being that if he has relations with her and she becomes pregnant, there's therefore proof as a result that he is certainly not at infertile, not at fault. Amar Rabbi Ami, says Rabbi Ami, Af bazo yotzi v'yitain k'tuba. According to Rabbi Ami, even in this case, he must divorce her and give her k'tuba. Sha'ani Omer, says Rabbi Ami, the following, Kol hanosei isha al ishto yotzi v'yitain k'tuba. One who marries a second woman. All right? So in other words, here's one of the first clear examples of monogamy being preferred. Okay?
Without her permission.
All right? In the text by Chazal. All right, so Ravi says, all right, so what happens? He yotze and gives her the ketubah. Rava Amar, says Rava, as follows: Nosei Adam kamanashim al ishto v'hu de'it le lemizunayhe. According to Rava, the more you can afford, noch
He
besser.
can have as many wives as he can.
So whatever he can. But he's got to be able to finance them. Okay, we're going to go on to Samachay, and today my goal is to actually finish the parak. Okay? All right, just to keep an eye on the clock. Okay, Hu Amar, he says as follows: Aplat bego asar. All right. Vehi amra lo aplit. He says to her that you have miscarried within the 10 years.
So the clock is.
Okay, so that's when you'd start the count, so to speak. Vehi amra lo aplit. She says she did not miscarry. Amar Rabbi Ami, says Rabbi Ami, Afbazo hi ne'emenet. In this case too, he says she's to be believed. The im itel the hipila because if it was such that she did miscarry, nafsha ba'akarta lo mechaska, because there in that situation, I'm going to phrase it that as if to say she would not put herself in the status, in the chazaka of being infertile. Okay? Right. So, hipila, if she went ahead and had a miscarriage, v'chazra v'hipila, came back and had another miscarriage, v'chazra v'hipila, and came another miscarriage.
Right.
Okay, so there are three of them there. So number one, we see Shimon ben Gamliel's chazaka in force, right? Huchzaka l'nefilim. Okay, in that case, we see that there is a status with her, in other words, to produce immature fetuses.
So that means they have to get divorced
Right.
unless he has other children.
Right. Hu amar, and he says, apila tre, vehi amra flat. He says, I had two miscarriages. She says three. Amar Rabbi Yitzchak ben Eleazar, uvda hava be midrasha. There was a incident, excuse me, that was discussed in the base medrash. Va'amru hi mehemna, and they said she is to be believed. De'im ita de lo epela, because had it not been that she had a miscarriage,
The third one.
right? Nafsha benefli lo mechazka. Again, she would not have put herself in that chazaka of being a woman who only produces immature fetuses. Okay. Okay. We finish that case and we get to a new mission. Matni. Ha'ish mitzuvah al pirya v'rivya. Our Mishnah starts off directly with the statement that the mitzvah of pruavu is incumbent on the man. Aval lo ha'isha, but not on the woman. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer, he says, al shnehem, it's on both of them. Hu Omer, and what does he say? Citing a pasuk, vayavarech otam Elohim, vayomer lehem peru urvu, implying that it is on both of them. Says our Gemara, menahani mili, what's the basis for this? Amar Rabbi Ila, says Rabbi Ila mishum Rabbi Elazar, v'Rabbi Shimon, Amar Kra. Following pasuk. Umalu et haaretz v'kavshuha. The pasuk says you should fill the land and conquer it. Ish darko lechabesh, ve'ein isha darka lechabesh. That it is usually the custom or the practice of the man to conquer, and not the practice of the woman to conquer. Adraba, says the verse. Okay? So just the opposite. Ukivshuha. The way the language of the pasuk is tarte mashma. The language is plural, and therefore it seems to imply two. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, he says as follows: Vikevsha kativ, and conquer it. That's what it's saying. That's the point. Kativ. Okay, Rav Yosef Amar Mehacha. Maybe from here we'll get the answer. Va'ani El Shaddai Pura Rabba. Okay, that the pasuk then seems to say Pura Urabba singular. Velo Ka'amar Peru Urvu, and it doesn't say in the plural. Va'amar Rabbi Ila'a Mishum Rabbi Elazar Rabbi Shimon. Says as follows: Kashem Shemitzvah al Adam Lomar Davar Hanishma. The same way it is a mitzvah for a man to say something that he has heard, right, appropriately. Kach mitzvah al Adam Shelo Lomar Davar She'eino Nishma. that it's the same way it's a mitzvah for not not to say something that he has not truly heard.
No.
Okay?
No.
What do you mean, no?
Mistranslated.
Davar she'eino nishma.
It is a mitzvah to say something to Ploni if you know he will listen to you. If I see you carrying on Shabbos and I know you want to be a good boy, then I say to you, you're not allowed to carry on Shabbos.
Where do you get this?
That's what the words say.
Right.
It is an obligation to say something to someone
If they're
he
going to
will
listen
hear
to you, if they will listen to you.
Right.
In
So
other words,
that-
pay attention to what you're saying.
correct.
Right, that's what I said.
That's not what you said.
Shalom omar davar she'eino nishma.
But you
Okay.
can't speak up if you know he will not listen to
Right.
you.
Rabbi Abba Omer, chova, it's an obligation. Shneimar al tochech, okay, let's pen yisanecha v'hochech lechacham v'yahavecha. Don't bring tochacha to the person who won't pay attention, so to speak, because they will hate you. But you may bring reprimand, so to speak, to the wise person because they will love. Va'amar ilah mishum Rabbi Eliezer b'Rabbi Shimon. Mutar lo la'adam lishnot v'davar hashalom. Okay, so there too, he says it's permitted for a person to, so to speak, repeat, review.
Misrepresent.
Okay. Have a different explanation here, Michael. I'm sorry. All right. All right. Says avicha tziva v'gomer. Okay. In other words, I wouldn't use the word misrepresent. All right. Listen out. Okay. To adjust to
It means to change the facts.
well, it's not. It's
The
If-
shanos, the words.
yes.
in
It's
Hebrew,
it
change.
means to alter the
Oh,
item.
Exactly. That's
Okay,
misrepresent.
to all, no, it's not misrepresent,
Right.
okay? All right, right, to alter the remarks, okay? B'davar hashalom, for the sake and the purpose of getting more peace. Shnei amar, avicha tziva v'chomer. Okay, an example, your father said, commanded, Ko tamru li Yosef, ana sana v'gomer. Okay, so trying to give an example. Rabbi Natan Omer, mitzvah. Here too it's a mitzvah. Shnei amar, vayomer Shmuel, ech elech, v'shama Shaul v'hargeni. Okay, again, trying to alter the remarks. How can I go? He'll kill me, right? Shaul will kill me. Debay Rabbi Yishmael, Tana. And the Academy of Rabbi Yishmael taught as follows. Gadol HaShalom, Sha'af HaKadosh Baruch Hu Shinabo. Great is peace, because even the Kadosh Baruch Hu was willing to alter certain things for the sake of peace. And what's the example? The Me'ikara Kativ. Because originally the pasuk said, right, this is with Sarah and Abraham, Vadoni Zokain, my master is as a husband master is older, Levasof Kativ, and afterwards it says Va'ani Zakanti. And it says the text is changed and it says, I am the one who's old. Okay? All right, so let's go on now. Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka Omer. According to Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka, remember he was the one saying that women are included in the mitzvah of period. Right? Itmar, it was said as follows. Rabbi Yochanan v'Rabbi Yoshua ben Levi. Chad Amar halakha Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. One said the law was like Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. Chad Amar ein halakha Rabbi Yochanan ben Broka. One said the law is not like him. Right?
Only a man.
Tistayim de Rabbi Yochanan, who de Amar ein halakha. We might conclude then that Rabbi Yochanan, okay, he's the one who said that the law was not like him. Diativ Rabbi Abahu, V'ka'amar mishmei de Rabbi Yochanan halacha. As Rabbi Abahu was sitting, speaking, and he was sitting before, right? And then what happens before Rabbi Yochanan? He said the law. Va'adrinhu Rabbi Ami v'Rabbi Asi la'apayu. And the two other sages, Rabbi Ami v'Rabbi Asi, so to speak, turned their backs on him. They looked the other way, right? Ve'ika da'amri. And there are those who recount this episode in a slightly different manner. Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amma. He says as follows: Vadrinhu Rabbi Ami Rabbi Asi la'apayu. Okay, that it was Rabbi Chia bar Abba who told the statement, and Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi turned their faces
Towards him.
All
In
right.
other words, they agreed that halacha was like him.
So,
La'apayu
yeah,
towards him.
they turned their faces in this
Towards him. La'apayu towards him instead of away from him.
Right. The other was
In
they turned. One was that they
Ikadam is
the first case was that they turned their backs to him.
Right.
The
Now
second
they're
case, they're
acknowledging-
looking at him.
acknowledge that he
They're
was
looking
right.
at Okay, so what happens? So the Gemara wants to clarify why the difference in
So we
in
haven't a raya who said what.
okay, well, why the difference in their attitude with who said the same thing. Okay, Amar Rav Papa, Bishleim Laman de Amar Rabbi Abahu Amra. That's acceptable if they said in the situation, if we said that it was Rabbi Abahu who said it. Mishum Kavod Be Kezar, because of the fact that there was an issue of, right, that
He
it
worked
was
for the
related with
government
the
official.
government official. He was connected to the Caesar's palace. Lo amrule, velo mide. That therefore they didn't say anything explicitly. They just turned their back.
Because they were afraid.
Right. Elelaman da amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba Amri. But according to the one who said that it was Rabbi Chia bar Abba who made this statement, Lemru le lo amar Rabbi Yochanan Haki.
They should have
Right, they
spoken.
should have spoken up directly and said to him, no, Rabbi Yochanan didn't say. Mai hava Allah. So what's the point here?
That's the
Tashma.
bottom line.
What's the case? Listen to the following brighter. The Amar Rabbi Acha Bar Chanina, Amar Rabbi Abahu, Amar Rabbi Asi, the following. Uvda Hava Kame de Rabbi Yochanan, but Kanishta the Kazari. There was an incident that occurred, a situation with regards to Rabbi Yochanan in the synagogue in Caesarea. Va'amar Yotzi v'yitain k'tuba. And he said that the man must divorce the wife and give her a ketubah. V'isal kadata. And if you want to
This
think,
seems to be a riot so far that
Well-
she does have a.
well, we'll see.
She
We'll see.
requests
We'll
a
see.
divorce.
We'll see. I don't know that yet.
That's what it go.
I don't know that yet. Okay? All right. V'isa kada'atcha lo mifakda. And if you're going to assume that the woman is not commanded in the mitzvah of Peru
She has no right.
okay, ketubah mai avidata. Then in regards to the ketubah, okay, what do we say in terms of this situation? Okay, why then would she not have a right to the ketubah?
Fakert.
Okay.
If she has a din of prueravu, she has a right to request. it.
That's what I'm saying, Michael. Let me finish. Right? If she is commanded, she has a right to get the ketubah. Let me finish, okay? Dilma baba'a michamat ta'ana. It says, maybe the question was that she came up based on a different case, in a different situation. Ki hahi da'atai lekame de Rabbi Ami. As a situation that came before Rabbi Ami. Amra le havli ketubah, where the woman came to him and said, give me my ksuba. In other words, decide that I should get the ksuba in this situation. What was his response? Amala zil lo mifkadet. Go, and she says, because you're not commanded in the mitzvah Perurvu? Amra le, all right, and they said to him, is what she said to him was as follows, namely, okay, Misibo, right? Dila mai tahave Allah dahach altata. In one's old age of this woman, namely myself, what's going to happen to this woman?
Who's going to take care of him?
Okay. Amar, he says, kiha vadai kafenan. In this case, therefore, we will force him to give the ketubah. Right? So what happens? We have another case where a woman came before Rav Nachman, Amala, and he said to her, Lo mifkadat, you are not commanded in Period Amrale, and she said to him, her following, Lo bai hach itata, chutra leda, umara lekavura. Okay, what's going to happen, so to speak, to this woman as she gets older? How is she going to have a staff or a cane to help her along? Or who is they going to have a hoe to bury her, to shovel to bury her? Amar, okay? So he says, Kiha vadai kafenan.
We'll
And here,
force him
in
to
this
give
case,
you.
we will require him to give. Now, another story. Yehuda v'Chizkiah tu'umim hayu. These two brothers were twins, Yehuda and Chizkiah. Echad nigmara surato l'sof tisha. One came to his full status, okay, at the end of 9. Ve'echad nigmara surato l'tchilat shiva. And one came at the beginning of 7. Okay. What happened? Okay. Yehudit, the Beitaihu, the Rebbe Chia. So Yehudit was the mother of these twins, okay, who is the wife of Rabbi Chia. And she, right, and the Gemara goes on to tell us, Havalat Sa'ar Leda. She had a great deal of discomfort and pain in this pregnancy of the twins. Shanai Mina, she changed her clothes. Va'at de Rabbi Chia. And she came before Rabbi Chia.
Her husband.
Yeah, we know that. It's said before. All right? And she says to him, she's going to ask him, Itata mifkada apiria varivya. Is a woman commanded to fulfill the mitzvah of Peruravu? Amarla lo. He said to her, no. Azla ishte sama de ikarta. She went and drank a potion that would made her sterile. L'sof iglai milta. Ultimately, the truth was revealed. Amarla, and he said to her, Ichu yaladet li chadakarsa achalita. Okay, if only you had, so to speak, filled your belly one more time. In other words, had become pregnant again, right? One more time. The Amar Mar, as was said by the master, Yehuda v'Chizkiah, these were the twin brothers. Achay. They were twin brothers who Mefarshim say grew up to be great scholars. Pazi v'Tavi, okay, they were another set of twins that she also gave birth to. Achvat, they were sisters, right?
Is this a supposition? If you had had another pregnancy, you would have given me 2 girls, and I would have had 2 boys and 2 girls. That's what Rafi is saying.
I'm not sure. I have a different commentary. It says that she did have. He had twin boys, he had twin
How can
girls.
she have if she made herself incapable?
After the girls were born first, the boys were born second. Okay? Right? Velo mifkade. Are we saying that a woman is not commanded? Va'amar Rav Achabar Rav Ketina, Amar Rav Yitzchak, Maaseh be'isha achat, shechetzia shivcha, v'chetzia bat chorim. A situation where there was a woman, she was owned by two people. Okay, she was on one part she was a free, on one part she was still a servant, right? So what happens? V'kafu et Rava v'asa'a bat chorim. All right, and Rava made the owner of her slave side to free her. Amar Rav
So
Nach.
the theory being she could now marry and have
Well, we'll get
kids.
to that in a second, right? Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. All right, minhag hefker nahaguba. Why did he do that according to Rav Nachman? Because they were treating her in a situation where she could neither marry a servant nor could she marry a free man, and therefore she was involved in a promiscuous lifestyle. And in order to take care of that situation, he made him free her, and so now she could marry and have legitimate children. Now, does that prove that women are included in the command of Peru'avu?
The Havamina
Not
was,
necessarily.
yes. No, the Havamina was he made the guy free her so she could marry. Does that not mean that she
Does that
has a
seem to
mitzvah?
prove
And
that
they
she
said
has?
no, because she was still half a slave. Her owner was sharing her with his buddies, and we wanted
I
to
think you're going a
avoid
little.
that, so we made her free. On the other hand, the Beis Hamikdash got a lot of a shaman.
I don't know.
Or a shaman.
All right, tomorrow you start with Samech Vav, the new parak.
Very good. And Bob, you'll come in time to set up.
I'm going to show Ruvain right now. All right, Harvey?
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought, believe me,
Bring cookies.